Ever wondered about the machines that powered Italy through the Second World War? We often hear about German Panzers and American Shermans, but the Italian war machine had a fascinating and diverse arsenal of its own. Today, we're diving deep into every single vehicle Italy deployed during World War II, from the humble Fiat Topolino staff car to the mighty P-40 heavy tank. So buckle up, history buffs, because this is going to be a comprehensive ride through Italy's military-industrial past. Let's start with the smallest and most numerous, the light vehicles. The backbone of Italian reconnaissance and officer transport was the Fiat 508, Balilla, and the iconic Fiat 500 Topolino. These little cars were everywhere, zipping across the deserts of North Africa and the rugged terrain of the Balkans. They weren't armored, but they were reliable and easy to maintain. For more specialized roles, the Italians developed the AS-37 and AS-42. The Sahariana in particular was a beast designed specifically for desert warfare. It was fast, heavily armed for its size, and became the preferred vehicle for long-range desert patrols, often mounting a 20mm cannon or even a 47mm anti-tank gun. Think of it as the Italian equivalent of the British LRDG's Jeeps, but with a distinct Italian flair. Moving up in size, we get to the trucks. Logistics wins wars, and Italy relied heavily on its fleet of trucks to supply its armies. The Fiat 626 and the Lancia 3-row were the workhorses. The Fiat 626 was a medium truck that saw service on every front, transporting troops, ammunition, and supplies. It was a solid, if unremarkable, design. The Lancia 3-row, on the other hand, was a heavy-duty monster. This thing could haul massive loads, including towed, artillery pieces, and even light tanks. Its robust chassis made it a prime candidate for field modifications, and you'd often see them mounted with anti-aircraft guns. These trucks were the unsung heroes, keeping the Italian army moving, often under incredibly difficult conditions. Now for the armored cars. Early in the war, the Italians were pioneers in armored car design. The Autoblenda series, particularly the AB-41, was a standout. It was fast, had a decent 20mm cannon, and featured a unique dual-drive system, meaning it had a driver's position at both the front and the rear. This allowed it to quickly reverse out of ambushes without needing to turn around, a crucial advantage in tight urban environments or narrow mountain roads. The AB-41 saw extensive service in North Africa, the Balkans, and even on the Eastern Front. It was a well-respected vehicle, so much so that even the Germans continued to use captured ones after the Italian armistice. Let's get into the tanks. Starting with the tank, Italy invested heavily in the L3 series. Like the L333 and L335s, these were essentially tiny, two-man tracked vehicles armed with machine guns. Based on the British Cardinaloid design, they were produced in huge numbers. While they offered some protection against small arms fire, they were hopelessly outclassed by the time World War II began. Their thin armor was vulnerable to pretty much any anti-tank weapon, and they were often relegated to internal security or reconnaissance roles. It mounted a 20mm cannon and had slightly better armor. It was an improvement, for sure, but by the time it entered service in 1940, it was already obsolete compared to the light tanks of other major powers. It saw action in North Africa, the Balkans, and Russia, but it struggled against even moderately well-armed opponents. It did, however, provide the chassis for one of Italy's most successful armored vehicles, which we'll get to in a moment. Now we enter the realm of the medium tanks, where Italy's story gets complicated. The M series, starting with the M1139s. This tank was a strange design. Its main 37mm gun was fixed in the hull, with only machine guns in the turret. This severely limited its effectiveness. It saw a brief and brutal service in North Africa before being quickly replaced. The lesson was learned, and the next models, The M13 40ths and M14 41sts moved the main gun a better 47mm cannon into a fully rotating turret. These became the mainstay of the Italian armored divisions. While an improvement, they were still under-armored and undergunned. Compared to Allied tanks like the Matilda II or the Sherman, they were mechanically unreliable in the harsh desert environment, but Italian crews fought bravely in them, often against overwhelming odds. The final evolution of this line was the M1542, with a slightly better engine and gun, but it was too little, too late. These vehicles were used in assault gun roles, much like the German Stugge 3, and they were feared by Allied troops in North Africa. Later versions, like the Semovente Da 75 34ths and the powerful Semovente Da 105 25ths, mounted even better anti-tank guns on the improved M15 42nd chassis. These Semoventi were arguably Italy's most effective armored fighting vehicles of the war. What about heavy tanks? Italy's attempt at a heavy tank was the Carro Armato P26 40ths, often just called the P40. The P stands for pesante, or heavy. Finally, we have self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. The Italians knew the importance of mobile air defense. They mounted 20mm cannons on various platforms, from the L6 40th light tank chassis to the backs of Fiat and Lancia trucks. While not as sophisticated as the German Wirbelwind, they were effective and essential pieces of the puzzle. So there you have it. From the tiny Topolino to the powerful P40. A complete overview of every vehicle that served in the Italian army during World War II. It's a story of innovation, desperation, and making do with what you have. While often overshadowed by their allies and enemies, the Italians produced a range of vehicles that left their own unique mark on the history of the conflict. What a fascinating journey. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into military history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Let me know in the comments which vehicle you found most interesting. See you in the next one.